Let's go! Will Ed Orgeron pull off a miracle in recruiting, getting Tristan Leigh, the 5-star offensive lineman, to LSU? And what about Bryce Foster? What about Savion Byrd? And I get this. This has been the number one thing sliding in my DMs from you guys. What is the deal with the offensive line recruiting? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to investigate it. We're going to dive deep. Subscribe to the channel if you love this LSU content. And yes, I got a hood and my hat on because I haven't been able to get my hair cut because my barber's backed up because it's a holiday week. So if you can come give me a shape up right now, I'd really appreciate it. Tristan Lee, this is the guy that all of you want. The number 11 ranked player in the country, the 5-star offensive tackle. And legit, this is the biggest criticism of LSU's recruiting. Tristan Lee is certainly one of those guys. This kid is an athlete with a soccer background. And for a lot of you, he is the number one player to get, even more so than Corey Foreman, because LSU's offensive line recruiting has not been as good as the other positions. And a lot of you panicked last year when LSU got Marcus Dummerville late, a 4-star offensive tackle, and they also got 2 3-star offensive guards. Should Ed Orgeron and James Cregg revamp or rethink their offensive line recruiting? So let's start with this year, the class of 2021, okay? It's not a total whiff. You already have a 4-star offensive lineman in Garrett Dellinger that is currently committed to LSU. A lot of my sources feel pretty comfortable about Dellinger actually coming to Baton Rouge. And remember, nothing is official until pen is signed to paper. But why is he the only offensive lineman that is committed in the class of 2021? Let's take a look at the elite offensive linemen. The biggest miss is the Brockermeyer brothers. Obviously, LSU did a lot of work, and they ended up going to Alabama. These brothers out of Texas, well, let's be fair, Nick Saban is pretty daggum good at recruiting the 5-star, best of the best offensive linemen. He has done it year after year after year, whether it be Alex Leatherwood, whether it be Cam Robinson right in LSU's backyard. But he's from North Louisiana, so that's not really the backyard, but it is in your state. So, yeah, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the state of Louisiana in just a moment, but let's be honest, Nick Saban is just really, really good at recruiting the trenches. And in LSU's case this year, they actually had the Brockermeyer brothers coming to campus. They were supposed to come for the LSU-Texas game. They attended the LSU-Texas game in Austin the year before. So that, quite frankly, is just bad luck. Same thing for J.C. Latham, who was getting courted by Ohio State and basically everyone. Nick Saban's just good. There's no other way to describe it. Maybe there's more stuff behind the scenes, but, those are 3 of the best offensive line. This is getting hot. Not doing it. In recent years, offensive line hasn't been a really strong position in the state of Louisiana. So take this year, the highest ranked offensive lineman is Kenneth Bannister out of Edna Carr, a really good high school that's produced some LSU Tigers. And, he's probably going to be a good player, but he's going to Louisiana Tech. So there are no can't-miss elite offensive linemen in the state of Louisiana. Now, that will change next year. We'll get to that in just a moment. But that also hurts, that in your own backyard, the elite guys just aren't there. Same thing is true basically in the class of 2020. There was one elite offensive lineman. He ended up going to Georgia. The next highest one was Josh Remitic, who ended up going to Tulane. So that's part of the issue, is that Louisiana produces a lot of great players, just not necessarily offensive linemen in the recent years. But I will say that when you actually get the elite offensive linemen, they do turn out to be pretty good players. So let's just focus on top 10 offensive tackles and offensive guards that LSU has had, elite offensive linemen in the top 10 that have ended up going to LSU. Starting off in 2014 with Garrett Brumfield out of U High, which is right on LSU's campus. And obviously, he turned out to be a multiple-year starter and an NFL player. Also in that class was Will Clapp, but we're only focusing on top 10 offensive linemen. Class of 2015, LSU ended up getting a 5-star, Maya Tuwema. Some off-the-field issues ended up forcing him to transfer, but he did play a lot the limited time that he was on campus and probably would have ended up being a pretty good player. Then you go down to Toby Weathersby, who was just really good at LSU. Multiple-year starter and backup. And even Chidi Okeke didn't work out. He ended up transferring to a non-Power 5 school, but also ended up in the NFL. 2016, offensive guard Donovan Campbell out of Ponchatoula, TJ Finley School. Well, didn't work out at LSU. Also off-the-field issues. Ended up going to Louisiana Tech, and his situation there got really weird. I don't know exactly why he transferred. Maybe for a fresh start. He could have definitely helped out LSU this year, but he transfers, ends up playing guard, but another former LSU commit who also transferred to Louisiana Tech, Willie Allen, decided to opt out of the class, or opt out of the year 2020. So Donovan Campbell plays a few games at left tackle, kills it there, and he opts out. Yeah, because he rose on some NFL draft boards and he said, sayonara, I'm going to quit on you guys, even though you gave me a chance to transfer here. And that's just the honest truth. I have a little less sympathy in that situation. So, still, he was an SEC NFL level offensive lineman. 2017, Austin Deculus. Still starting now, started on the national championship team. I mean, is he Saron Black? Is he Andrew Whitworth? No, but he's a really good starter in the SEC. In 2018, LSU did not have a top 10 offensive line prospect. They did end up getting Cam Meyer. He was their highest rated offensive lineman in the class. It wasn't a JUCO transfer, and obviously Cam Myers had a pretty good year, but still no top 10 guys. Then in 2019, and I kind of wish I would quit getting questions about Cardale Thomas because I don't know what his situation is at LSU. Obviously, he had the horrible injury that knocked him out of all last year, but in warm-ups, he's not even getting these second-team reps. I don't know if it's going to work out. There's still plenty of time left to go. But so far, out of the elite offensive linemen, he is the only one that we have not seen. When LSU's gotten the elite offensive linemen, they've worked out. And those are just the top 10 guys. Now, the question, can LSU win without elite offensive linemen? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. And we've talked about this on multiple videos. You know, last year's offensive line won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in the country, and most of it were 3-star players or lower level 4 stars. The only offensive lineman that was a top 10 player at his position was Austin Deculus. That's the thing. You can win without the elite offensive lineman. But there is a discussion about how good last year's offensive line actually was. Was it them being very good? I thought that was a really good group. Obviously, Lloyd Cushenberry was fantastic, and he was a low-level 3-star. But I think Joe Burrow made them look a lot better than they actually were. So that's the question you got to ask yourself. You know, I look, it is true that a lot of these lower level 3-star offensive lineman from Louisiana end up panning out. It's an inexact science, but it's true. Try Turner, who was not an elite offensive lineman prospect, was pretty daggum good at LSU, left early, ended up being a Pro Bowl guard for the Carolina Panthers, and the same is true with Lloyd Cushenberry. Damian Lewis, JUCO transfer, wasn't a can't-miss guy. So it really is inexact, but you would like to still get the better players. But there is good news. LSU looks pretty good for the class of 2022. Remember, we showed you the state of Louisiana. The cupboard's been a little bit bare when it comes to elite offensive linemen in the state. Well, that changes next year with Will Campbell, who is a top 50 overall player in the class of 2022, the highest ranked player in the state. A lot of people feel pretty good the kid from Monroe is going to end up going to LSU. But even better, I've heard that LSU is in pretty good standing with the number one offensive lineman in the class of 2022. His name is Devin Campbell. He's out of the state of Texas. In fact, just outside of Dallas. It's not the end of the world whether or not you get one player. We talk about that every year. But you would like to get more than just 2 4-star tackles committed over the last 2 years. Here's the thing. Hill and Martinez, 3-star offensive guards from the class of 2020, they could pan out. They could be the next Will Clapp, Will Blackwell, whoever you want to name. They could. It could happen. There is no exact science that proves if an offensive lineman is going to turn out to be really, really good. We just have to wait and see. LSU did everything, and I mean everything they possibly could to get Tristan Lee to LSU. Now, if he ends up deciding to commit, obviously that is a home run, and that helps this nationally 3-ranked class become even better. But if he ends up going to Oklahoma or Ohio State, so be it. Those are great programs. It happens. Same thing here with Savion Byrd. I mean, there's nothing more you could have asked in that situation. You had him come to the Tiger turnout. He rode with Garrett Nussmeier, who was the one who organized it, the 2021 quarterback who's already committed. There's legit nothing more you can do. The JUCO transfer window is always there. Look, Damian Lewis has been a starter for the Seattle Seahawks as a rookie. And I would put my money on Ed Orgeron doing better, getting better guys, but we'll see what happens. Subscriber shout-out, starting off here with Lawrence Pellini, still got to go. I'm sure there's an up-and-coming defensive stud mind out there that would jump at the chance to take the LSU DC job. So, LSU's defense was better versus Arkansas, but were they really better? It's complicated. We talked about it on the live stream last night. I don't know if I could actually call them better, or I don't know. They were okay. Still, Felipe Franks was 5 of 5 for passes, 20 yards or so down the field. But we didn't have Stingley or Ricks. It still doesn't excuse giving up all those deep passes. If LSU gets lit up against Texas A&M, they need to see if Corey Raymond is the answer at defensive coordinator. PJ, please pick A&M to win just like you did the Razorbacks. Go Tigers. Yeah, I did pick Arkansas to win, and if you tune in later when we drop our A&M LSU preview, that should be on Friday, we'll see. I probably will pick Texas A&M just for you, PJ, just for you. It's power, LSU. Ba, 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 ba.